A rift between Chicago Bears leadership and the owner of Soldier Field, the Chicago Park District, may be brewing as speculation swarms over whether the team is planning to relocate. 3 months ago, the Chicago Bears publicly announced their bid for the Arlington International Racecourse property. But that's not the only source of contention. Joining us to talk about it are Tony Arnold, a reporter with WBEZ who obtained those emails, and Mark Gannis, president of sports business consulting firm Sports Corp. He is a sports facility specialist and worked on the sale of the Cubs from the Tribune Company to the Ricketts family, among many other projects. Now, we did reach out to the Bears for comment. They declined. The Chicago Park District did not respond to a request for comment. Gentlemen, welcome back. Tony, let's start with you, please. So you obtained emails showing the clash between the Bears and the Park District, particularly about repairs. What were Bears leadership's concerns about the upkeep there?
The emails that I obtained from the mayor's office just through an open records request showed that the Bears and the Chicago Park District, essentially their landlord, the Park District owns Soldier Field. The leadership of both organizations have just had this very volatile relationship over emails in the months leading up to the Bears' bid for the Arlington property. And these emails showed that for weeks there was this back and forth about the Bears saying, give us some documents that show what the needs are for Soldier Field. What are the life expectancy for the plumbing, the electrical, the roof, the facade, name your, every component. The Park District would respond saying, we give you those annual reports all the time. You have the documents. The Bears would say, those aren't what we want. Those aren't good enough. Also, we want a 5-year vision for the infrastructure of Soldier Field. Where are you going with this? And the Park District basically held the line, and eventually it culminated with this. It got off the start with a really rough start with the Park District Superintendent Michael Kelly accusing the Bears president Ted Phillips of having a propensity for making historical misstatements. It's almost borderline calling him a liar about these reports. It was a kind of an astonishing back and forth to read these emails that the two sides have had here.
Right, your reporting has showed that some of these emails showed a very contentious, almost kind of nasty relationship. Mark Gannis, what are some of the challenges and concerns with Soldier Field as far, are they a viable 21st century, or is it a viable 21st century facility?
It is not. That was obvious even at the time the deal for the remodeled Soldier Field took place. It was the best option that was available at the time, but it wasn't a good option even then. So now they're in a situation where they have lease agreements. There are financial obligations by both parties, so structural and physical obligations. The Bears are pushing their landlord. It's not the first time a tenant has pushed a landlord. But what makes this so different is what happens in the long term. If the landlord puts money in and gets money from other public sources to put money in, how long is it going to be good for? The Bears have already indicated by their bid and making it public to buy Arlington Park that they're looking at other options. They're basically looking to become their own landlord rather than have a third party government as the landlord. And the reality is there are just very severe limitations to what Soldier Field can become, even with a lot of money put into it. It is no longer a top flight, if it ever was, a top flight building for an NFL team, much less the only NFL team in the third largest market in the country. So looking long term, Soldier Field does not look like the place for the Bears.
And briefly, Mark, what would it cost to build a whole new stadium, and who's paying for that?
Well, it depends on the type of stadium, but if we talk about an open air stadium, we're looking at somewhere between $1.5 billion, $2 billion. I know the Buffalo Bills right now, they're in the middle of stadium negotiations, and they've said that the cost for an open air stadium there would be about $1.4 billion. That would be about right for a traditional open air stadium, but Chicago will want more than the market will want more than just a traditional stadium. So, and now who pays for it? It depends where it goes. If it goes to Arlington Park, that area, I would expect the Bears and the NFL to cover the lion's share of the cost. If there's a political deal where there's insistence on the team staying somewhere like at the lakefront or part of McCormick Place or part of a McDome type of project that was put forth about 20, 25 years ago, then you'd look at the public sector putting up a significant part of the cost.
Okay. And so, Tony, you obtained emails that also showed this rift between the Park District and the Bears leadership over sports betting. What did that entail?
That's right. Soldier Field has not been the only point of contention between the Bears and the Park District over writing. The Bears, as early as April of last year, was asking the Park District to get moving on creating a sports book near Soldier Field. The Illinois legislature approved sports betting in 2019. So there they were less than a year later asking the Park District, let's get moving. Let's start talking here about adding a sports book. And in the meantime, until a sports book is built where somebody can place a physical bet, a fan could place a physical bet, let's get what they called a sports betting lounge built inside Soldier Field in one, if not multiple locations. And these would essentially they would look and feel like a sports book with TVs all over the place, the lines being broadcast, but they would lack a kiosk, a place to place the physical bet. Now, could a fan get on their phone if they're registered, to gamble? Could they get on their phone there and place their bets? Yes. I don't know if they could control that, but essentially the Bears were trying to set up this space within the Soldier Field where someone could do this. The Park District was pretty short in its response, saying no.
No, short answer. Tony, with both of your reports, though, on Soldier Field infrastructure and the sports betting, what's been the reaction from the Bears?
The Bears have been, if you read the body language of the Bears right now, which I think everyone's trying to do, are they serious about moving to the suburbs or not? The Bears told me that the sports betting issue is completely unrelated to their bid for Arlington. When I asked for comment about the conditions of Soldier Field, they said no comment. So there, I think, kind of tells you where the Bears' emphasis in their mind is. It's more the conditions of Soldier Field than it is about the addition of a sports book, which I imagine the city would get on board with over time.
And Mark, what has to happen for the Bears to stay?
In Soldier Field, long term, I don't think it's viable. Is it viable? They need a new stadium. Wherever it goes, the next generation of Bears fans will be going to a new stadium. I'm quite confident of that, whether that is within the city limits of Chicago, along the lakefront near the existing stadium, or Arlington Park, or another location. I think we can look at, by the time we get to the end of this decade, the Bears are very likely to be playing in a new stadium somewhere in the Chicago area.
Curious to hear what Bears fans think about that, just because Soldier Field can be sentimental for many of them, but that is where we'll have to leave it. Tony Arnold, Mark Annis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.
Pleasure.